Hello, CSL viewers. My name is Drew or Marionett, and once again, I am joined by
EnteiTainment. Hello.
Hello, EnteiTainment. How are you doing?
I am excellent as usual.
Yeah. So, I guess before we get into the week 2 matchups, I just want to say we do have Dan back again, but once again, no one was really available at the time. But if you really, really want to be a guest in the recaps, be sure to message me on Skype or whatever. But just a service announcement because people have been asking. So if you wanna do Dan's job and kick him out of the weekly recaps,
please do.
Please do. But we can just get into the first match, which was a match between the 1-0 team of the Magcargo Tel Aviv and the 0-1 team of the Washington Weaviles. Both me and you predicted the Magcargo Tel Aviv to win.
True.
We predicted in two kind of different ways. You said it would be a complete shutout. You said it would be Alpha completely dominating the Washington Weaviles based on just ability as a player. I said it would be a little bit more close. You were right. I was wrong. It was a 6-0. This is the first 6-0 of Season 4. Do I think Dub played badly? Not horribly, but he definitely was 100% outplayed, 100% outclassed by Magcargo. Did you see any notable plays that kind of led to the 6-0?
Not necessarily plays, but just really good team building, I thought, on Magcargo's part, especially that Metagross. Really, the Weaviles just didn't have an answer for that Metagross. And revealing the Thunder Punch to handle like the one thing that walls Metagross on his team was really good on Magcargo's part, I thought. And just also the Zapdos, it didn't get any kills, but it was able to effectively wall like a lot of his team. He didn't really have a way to kill the Zapdos. It just kept going for Roost and stalling out his team. So I thought that was just good team building really on Magcargo's part, but no particular plays really stood out to me.
It was just kind of all the way through. I also think this is just a prime example of what both me and Akeem predicted at the start of the season, where, you know, even though the Magcargo Tel Aviv do have like Mega Abomasnow, which didn't actually do that much this week either, so we're still waiting to see some Mega Abomasnow action. Where's it at? But this is what me and Akeem predicted, which was the Weaviles getting out-tiered by opponents that are already at a higher level than them. Mm-hmm. And I think this week Dub made a transaction of Mienshao for Dragonite, so hopefully that'll help them out in future matches.
Alright, good for him.
Yeah. So moving on to the NJ Flabebe taking on the Memphis Mamoswines. We were both incorrect in this matchup. We were. We both predicted the Mamoswines to win. I said the Mamoswines would win because of just team matchup and just all-around creativity, I think. And we did see a lot of creativity from the Mamoswines. From what I saw in their match was Anthony hit a very, very good starting game, predicting the NJ Flabebe switches, ultimately getting it so he got the ideal matchup of Umbreon versus Roserade, and during that time, Umbreon started punching holes in the Flabebe's team, but later down the line, the Flabebe send in Absol, and Anthony starts to switches in Amoonguss, the defensive Amoonguss, and stun spores on the sub, and then the Absol starts setting up, and then really frazzled the Mamoswine switch in, Heatran take massive damage, and then immediately switch into Conkeldurr to kill it.
Yeah.
Also, going for like Clear Smog on a substitute was not the best decision, so the Mamoswines had a really good start game, but couldn't really hold it all the way together.
Yeah, I thought bringing Absol, especially a substitute Absol, was really nice on his part because it gave him a way to deal with the Amoonguss, because obviously Spore doesn't go through substitute. My other note I made about this is it turned into sort of like a stall war between Vaporeon and the Umbreon, and just sort of a who can do it better kind of situation, and I guess Vaporeon ended up taking it. But obviously, the wall-breaking potential in Mega Gardevoir was definitely shown here. He ran like Calm Mind, so...
It wasn't really a sweep for the Mega Gardevoir, it was just...
Like lack of switch-ins.
Yeah, it was the lack of switch-ins, and it was because due to the Absol, everything got whittled down so early.
Yeah.
The Mega Gardevoir was able to come in and start tearing through even the specially defensive.
Yeah, the HP ground. I assume it was HP ground. It was also really nice. So
anyway,
yeah,
that's pretty much all we got there. Going on to the San Diego Wild Chargers versus the Zion Zards. This was a very interesting match. A match where it was basically just Cherry bringing a lot of strange walls, and then the Wild Chargers kind of manipulating their way through it. There was a cool play that was like well prepped by both sides that we saw in like one turn, where the Mega Sharpedo goes for HP Grass on the physically defensive Gastrodon, but then the Gastrodon is the Rindo Berry.
Yeah.
So it's like...
That was crazy.
Yeah, that one turn just kind of showed the team building potential of both teams, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But in the end, it was Kabutops that really was able to tear through the Zards team in the end.
Yeah. Also, an interesting set on the Zards was the Kasib Berry Trevenant. I guess that was sort of for him to maybe attempt to stall out the Sableye, but it's kind of weird to me since when Sableye Mega evolves, you can't put a seed on him and you can't burn him. So, an interesting choice by the Zards. I used Trevenant last season really a lot with Citrus Berry mostly, and it's definitely a fun set. I've never seen a Kasib Berry Trevenant. But it ended up he was able to take hits from the Jirachi at least.
He was able to scare out the Jirachi, which was something.
I guess that was good for him.
Yeah. So moving on then to actually, in my opinion, my favorite match of the week, which was pretty funny because it was both the 0-1 teams. It was the only 0-1 versus 0-1 match, which was the Florida Feraligatrs versus the Texas Tauros. I'll let you start on this one.
Okay, well, Texas Tauros should have won this game. He messed up at the end by switching a Hippowdon into Ditto once it had turned into Mega Lopunny. And Hippowdon can't take two high jump kicks, which ended up being Tauros' demise. Really, he needed like a double miss in order to win that match.
Not only that, but like Hippowdon was already at half health.
Yeah, right. So Hippowdon was already injured. So just sort of a weird play there by Texas Tauros. If he had just left in his Lopunny to die, he could have then gone into Hippowdon and EQ'd for the win. Another play that stood out to me is or I guess not play, but Hippowdon bringing Sandstream and then his Cresselia having Moonlight, just sort of poor team synergy there. He might want to maybe bring Unnerve. I think it's Unnerve. Is that Hippowdon?
Sandforce.
Sandforce, okay, yeah. So he might want to rethink his choice there when he's bringing Hippowdon and Cresselia, because I guess it didn't come into play too much. There was like one turn where Cresselia couldn't Moonlight to full potential, but that's just not the best pairing there.
Right.
And and Hippowdon outspeeding the Escavalier was definitely funny.
Yeah. I do think, though, Easy Bake played decently well. At the very, very start, the Feraligatrs had a incredible lead on them. I think it was 6-3 the Feraligatrs had on them. And with a Hippowdon Registeel Rest core, the Tauros were really able to tear through the rest of Feraligatrs team. It kind of reminded me of the Season 3 match between you and Akeem. Yeah. Where Quagsire and Mega Ampharos was able to stall out the rest of your 5 mons.
Yeah, don't remind me.
It reminded me of that, and I really thought that it was going to end up in the same result, but due to the misplay with Ditto, it did not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that was a prediction on Dan's part that was correct, even though it maybe not should have been, but it's whatever. Next up is the Detroit Pyroar versus the Houston Haunters. This was an interesting match. There wasn't really anything spectacular from either side. I do think in the end that the Pyroar could have played for a higher differential, but they didn't need to win the game. They were just playing safer. In the end game, Starmie could have outstalled the Rhydon and then killed it with Scalds to get the 3-0 victory. Earlier in the match, the Pyro could have preserved Venusaur to get the 4-0 victory, but they just ended up playing safer.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say about this match. I just want to quickly sort of give Hunters a shout out for that set with Talonflame, because Talonflame is obviously a massive threat to Mega Venusaur, and he knew that the Detroit Pyroar loved to bring Mega Venusaur, so it was only natural for them to bring a Rotom Heat to sort of check their Talonflame. So he ended up bringing like a bulk up acrobatic set with Wakan Berry or something that would enable him to break through that Rotom Heat. It didn't work out for him, but it was definitely a good idea, and I think that just sort of shows team building prowess, I would say. So I think that was good team building.
If I have to recommend one thing for that set, though, I think even though the idea was, I'll switch in my Talonflame on like a Rotom Heat Volt switch or something, and take it down because it was like max special defense. I still think that no item would have been just better. No item, or just like something that could have gotten the job done easier, because I think the set was very situational, and if it didn't pay off, then he really had no way to deal with Venusaur.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
fair enough.
But that's just me. Next up, we have the BC Bastiodons versus the Southeast Swablu. This was the match that we disagreed on, and I ended up getting the prediction correctly.
Damn.
But that's okay. Dan got the other one. What are your thoughts on this match?
Well, I thought it was really cool to see the coverage on that Mew. It had like Drill Run for the Aggron, it had Thunderbolt for Gyarados, as well as the Togekiss. It had Ice Beam for the Latias, and I don't know if we saw the last move, but it was probably like some kind of psychic coverage. So Mew could actually hit everything on Bastiodon's team with those moves, so that was really nice on Swablu's part. And the one play that stood out to me is when Gyarados got outsped by a Muck after being +1. So I guess that's just Bastiodon's lack of knowledge about priority, because he ended up going for Dragon Tail. I think he must have just not known that was negative priority, so definitely a learning experience for him, but luckily it didn't end up costing him the game or anything. He played really well with his Scarf Latias, and that sort of led him to victory.
Unfortunately, I hate calling this out, but it was sort of a crit that dictated this match. Once Mega Gyarados went down, Muck really was able to take a Psyshock and knock out the Latias afterwards, but there was a Psyshock crit which knocked the Muck out, leaving a lack of viable Pokemon to take out the Latias.
Yeah.
But
unfortunate
that's just an unfortunate crit.
Swablu's, I will say really quickly, Swablu's predictions in the first opening turns were like super on point. She had the Cincino go for Rock Blast on that Gyarados. She predicted the flying type switch in after revealing the Drill Run. It was just really on point, and unfortunate crit at the end. She couldn't wrap it up, but definitely well played to Swablu, I would say.
Yeah. The next match we have is the Boston Bisharps versus the Calgary Hydro Cannons, the 1-0 versus 1-0 match of this week. This was a very quick and interesting match. I do want to say early on, before we get to the actual main part of this match, there was some really good planning on the Hydro Cannon's part, such as Ice Beam Tauros that was able to
that was awesome.
Quickly take out the Garchomp. Even though Tauros has a 50 base special attack, sheer force boosted Life Orb just completely obliterated Garchomp. So I thought that was a good play on their part. Also, the Magnezone set, which is really cool, prevented Snorlax from really doing anything to Magnezone, as well as Xatu, who I know had HP ground during the match.
Yep. There was a pretty serious Calm Mind War going on towards the middle of this match.
Not only Calm Mind War, but also Speed Tie War.
Also Speed Tie War, yeah. So not only were they both going for Calm Mind and trying to get crits, they were also speed tying, which I think the Hydro Cannons ended up winning most of the speed ties, and that's what... Go ahead.
Yeah. So the Mega Slowbro did end up outspeed tying the Reuniclus, but then the Xatu was able to come in. We all thought it was over. We thought Akeem couldn't touch this Slowbro. That was +6 on both special defense and special attack. Xatu comes in, hazes the stats away, and the match is all over again.
Yeah.
And then I guess Abda just completely thrown off guard, just decides to sack the Slowbro, which gives him no viable options to take out the Mega Medicham.
Yeah, and then Medicham just kind of did what it does. Mm-hmm. Watching it take out that Blissey and like restoring all of its health was funny to me.
Yeah.
Blissey is so fat.
Yeah, and despite Blissey like not getting any kills, that's like not a surprise. But I do want to note that like last season, Abda did actually get more kills than deaths on Blissey, so I can see him bringing some stuff besides just a regular soft-boiled set. I can see him being a bit more creative with it in the future.
Okay.
But he was definitely a cool free agent on his part, and I've seen it work out so far in this season. So for the final match, I'm sure you're excited to commentate over this one.
So amped.
It was the Saugatuck Sandslashes versus the Syracuse Sylveons, a rematch of the Season 3 semifinals?
Yes,
I believe?
I
okay,
think
cool.
So.
You go through your thoughts first in this match.
Okay, well, just starting off, I think Classy definitely played very well. I think he probably played better than I did. And although going into this match, I felt very prepared, and I predicted most of his team. I will admit I was not predicting Scissor. I didn't think Scissor was going to come, which ended up being a pretty big issue, actually. And I wasn't expecting Crobat either, but Crobat didn't end up being really relevant. So right off the bat, I thought I would just lead with Sneasel and try to get a kill on something, because I was really fearing that Rotom Mow. It didn't get any kills, but Rotom Mow like hits everything on my team. So I was really pressured by that Rotom Mow. I wanted to try to catch it right away, because I was using Scarf Sneasel, so I knew that no matter what, I was going to outspeed that Rotom Mow and likely kill it with an Icicle Crash. But unfortunately for me, he leads with Scissor, which is like the one thing that Sneasel can't go up against. And then from there, I was just behind for the rest of the game, and it was just a lot of good predictions on Classy's part. There were some weird turns where I had Sneasel in, and I tried to make a double switch on his Tornadus, but he just leaves his Tornadus in, so I don't know. He said later that was a misplay, apparently, but it ended up working out for him, obviously.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
the Tornadus U-turns on the Sneasel, right?
Yeah, so then the Tornadus U-turn on the Sneasel, which gave him that initiative again, so... it was too bad. I did feel prepared for this team. I didn't think I was rushed or anything. I think I was afraid of him applying immediate momentum and just riding it out, and that's exactly what he did. So well done to Classy, I would say.
Yeah, I would say too, this is an example, I think, of you getting out-tiered by the other team.
Yeah, so Excadrill, I considered Excadrill, but I really couldn't. I didn't feel like I could afford to have any more things that are weak to Rotom Mow, because I knew Rotom Mow was coming. Like, looking at my team, there's no way Rotom Mow wasn't coming. So I really felt like I couldn't afford. Like, there's already 5 things on this team that are weak to Rotom Mow, so I like couldn't bring another one. And then Infernape. There's just too many fast flying types on Saugatuck's team, and he ended up bringing both of them. So although Infernape would have been nice maybe against the Scissor, Infernape is UU, what am I talking about? Celebi was my other pick, but same situation. There's too many fast flying types for Celebi to comfortably do anything, and of course they have like the Crocodile and the Scissor, which kind of just dump all over Celebi, so it didn't feel like my OU picks were going to be doing too well in this matchup, which is fine. It's to be expected. They're not going to be performing well every single game.
Yeah, I wasn't like saying like that that's why you lost, but I agree. It's an example of you had no choice, but it just set kind of the obstacle harder for you.
Yeah, definitely, because Tornadus is obviously like top tier OU, and I didn't even have any OU Pokemon on my team, so yeah, I would say I definitely got out-tiered.
Yeah. So before we move on to the top killers, I think we should give a shout out to Classy for defeating the 2 Season 3 semifinalists in the first
Applause.
2 weeks. Way to go. There you go. Yeah, shout out to him. He's been doing great. So, yeah. On to top killers. Jirachi is still at number 1. Even though it only scored 1 kill this week, it still was able to put some offensive pressure on Cherry. But overall, it was last week's match that really kept it bumped up.
Yeah.
Clefable has scored 1 kill, which was the final kill for the Magcargo Tel Aviv. But Mega Gardevoir, who I think should be the topic of conversation, was able to pick up 5 kills. So all the 5 kills in this top killers list for Mega Gardevoir are from this week.
Yeah.
Who was able to get 5 kills on the Mamoswines. Just because the NJ Flabebe was able to whittle the Pokemon down to the point where Mega Gardevoir could come in and just destroy all of them.
Yeah, and that was just good playing on his part. That was really well done to whittle everything and then take him out with Mega Gardevoir. So it's nice to see that on the top killers. The really good decision to bring Jirachi last week, I think, is still a fair reason to have Jirachi as the top killer. Like, it completely shut down Swablu, so I'm not really upset to see Jirachi get the top killer again. And then Clefable, I don't know, Clefable is just... I don't really like Clefable. I mean, he 6-0'd me with Clefable last season, so kind of upset about Clefable.
A bit salty.
You know, it's whatever.
All right, so moving on to the matchups. Let's see if me and Dan can disagree. Actually, last week I think our score was 5-5. So we each got 5 matches correct.
Okay.
So let's see.
I'll take you on.
I'll take you on too. Let's start out with the Detroit Pyroar, who are sitting at 1 win and 1 loss, taking on the Southeast Swablu, who has yet to pick up a win. I guess I'll go first and say that the Pyroar will pick up this match. I think all around, even if Swablu's team kind of has a better matchup against the Detroit Pyroar, I think the Pyroar has a lot more threatening Pokemon. Obviously, a Mega Venusaur completely destroys a Mega Audino.
Yeah.
As far as I know, Swablu might run some crazy psychic fly Mega Audino that I've never heard
It could
of.
be anything.
But you know, I think overall in just skills of a player and honestly, like, past matches they've had against each other, the Pyro has been able to consistently pull out like 4-0, 5-0 victories against the Swablu.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I voted for Majestic Swablu last week, and unfortunately she was not able to pull through for me, so... Due to a crit, yes, of course. Very unfortunate, but this week it is going to have to be Detroit Pyro, in my opinion. I think, just looking at it, I don't want to like say too much and give the players ideas, but it doesn't look like Swablu has a lot to touch Mega Venusaur, and we all know how much Zoops loves Mega Venusaur, so...
Right.
And it looks like Kiram can put in a lot of work for Zoops as well, so I think Majestic Swablu would have to pull off something ridiculous in order to make this game close.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Moving on to the Saugatuck Sandslashes, who are coming off 2 strong wins, taking on the Houston Haunters, who have had 1 win, 1 loss. Interesting to note, both these 2 players have faced the same 2 players, being you and Izzy.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, Izzy? Yeah.
So I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah, you can go first.
Well, I'm just looking at the teams now, and I do think... Wait, who are we looking at right now? I already forget. Oh, the Haunters, true. I think I'm just going to give this to Classy again, almost automatically, just because of how he plays, like the player he is. I faced him this week, and he blew me back immediately. His team is just so offensive, and I guess the Haunters have a they have a kind of defensive team. I don't know, but I feel like they're just going to get blown away by the just pure offensive presence that Classy is commanding.
Definitely. I think even if the Houston Haunters go for like a Cotton Guard route with Mega Altaria or like a physically defensive Milotic route, whatever it is, I think the Sandslashes with their constant pivoting and their constant just being able to maneuver back and forth, and I don't really see a great answer to Volt Switch unless I'm looking at the wrong draft.
No, all they have is Rhydon, I think.
Yeah, all they have is Rhydon, and that can be easily covered by something like a
yeah, sort of the same
HP
problem
Grass,
right here. Actually, it's like the exact same problem Rhyperior has.
It's Rotom Mow.
Yeah.
Just kind of, and you know, unless Rhydon wants to take hits worse, it can't hold a Rindo Berry.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of team matchup and skill as a player, the Sandslashes will be able to take this one.
I agree.
All right. Moving on to the BC Bastiodons versus the San Diego Wild Chargers.
Ooh, a 2-0
both
versus
are
2-0.
2-0 teams, which is going to be pretty interesting. I do have to give this one to Weaviles, though. I think he has a lot more versatility on his team. I think the thing I like about both teams is they have the ability to go both hyper offense and hyper defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you notice the Bastiodons team, they are able to use Pokemon like Latias defensively, and Aggron and Dusknoir and Tangela, Pokemon like that. And Reelis obviously has Mega Sableye, and Jirachi can be run defensively. But on the other hand, on the offensive side, BC Lions has Mega Gyarados, Entei, Machamp, whereas Reelis, once again, is Jirachi and Staraptor. Either way, I think if it becomes an offense versus offense team, Reelis wins just based on matchup in his top offensive threats, and then if it's defensive versus defensive, Reelis also wins because of Mega Sableye.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree with you, just for the sake of disagreeing with you. I'm going to go with my boy, the BC Lions. Mega Gyarados is a huge threat. Mega Gyarados' power. And not only that, the BC Lions has a nice and powerful fire type in the form of Entei to switch into that Mega Sableye. So
this is true.
I think the BC Lions has answers to realize, and I don't want to say any more than that. I feel like I've already said too much, actually. I don't want to... I feel bad. I don't want to give teams, like, ideas. I feel like that's sort of an unfair advantage, but I'll just leave it at Gyarados and Entei. I think the BC Lions will be able to pull something off just because of those two beasts of a Pokemon.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Next, we have the Florida Feraligatrs, who are 1-1, facing off against Akeem, our man Akeem. Our man, jeez. Coach of the Boston Bisharps. How do you think this match is going to go?
Well, we all know how much Kraken Nation loves his Mega Medicham, and how do you even pronounce this guy's name? Blixen?
Blazin.
Blazin?
Blazin.
Oh, okay. It's a Q in here, but
yeah,
that's bizarre. Anyways, Blazin does have the good old Mega Pinsir that can probably withstand the Mega Medicham onslaught. However, I think Kraken Nation is just too good of a player, and his team is ridiculous as we've seen. Just sort of the offensive potential of Kraken Nation's team. Plus, he pulls off crazy stuff like that Xatu with Haze or whatever the move was. So
right, which I definitely think is something he's been improving over the season.
He's definitely getting more offensive. I would really agree with that. Yeah, definitely. So I think just Kraken Nation's, not only his offensive core, but also his skill as a player will lead him to his inevitable victory. He has that Alamomola for Mega Pinsir, so...
Alright.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Kraken Nation.
I'm going to take a
leap of faith.
Take a leap of faith for the Feraligatrs here.
Okay.
I think, honestly, that... Flashback to Season 2... the Feraligatrs and the Bisharps were in the same division, and the Bisharps won both their division matches, but they were by very, very close 1-0 victories, and I know Blazin has improved significantly since then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, especially with him actually having team matchup on his side, and actually in Season 2, Akeem had Pinsir, and now Blazin has Pinsir. I can see the revenge of the Pinsir
I see.
coming back. So I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be over quickly. I think this could be something like a 10-turn match if it really boils down to it. With either just Manaphy setting up and sweeping or Pinsir setting up and sweeping.
Yeah.
Or it could go defensive, I don't even know. But I think the Feraligatrs do have answers to Akeem's top threats, which a lot of players don't really have good answers to it. But I think this is one of the teams that has a good answer to it. And I think this is the first team Akeem will face that has good answers and a good team matchup against him.
Okay, that's definitely fair. I agree that it's going to be a very offensive match, I think. So yeah, moving on.
Yeah. All right, next we have the Magcargo Tel Aviv versus the Calgary Hydro Cannons. Magcargo Tel Aviv are 2-0 and the Hydro Cannons are 1-1. I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna go the Magcargo Tel Aviv. Even though I think their records against each other, I don't think Magcargo Tel Aviv has ever beaten the Hydro Cannons. I think this will be the first week they're able to do so. I think Alpha has a lot of things that are able to stop a lot of Abda's strong walls. And for the Magnezone, like I've said before, there are two walls on Abda's team. There's the Mega Slowbro, and then there's the Blissey. And then there's the Magnezone, and then there's the Sylveon. And I think that Alpha versus Abda. Alpha has the good, has potential to beat both. I'm not going to say how specifically, but I definitely think he has potential.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Actually, I'm gonna play it safe here as well. I think, just Alpha has more experience. He's been playing really, really well in the past few weeks we've seen, and I think Mega Obama Snow might be able to do something. Just saying, I'm still rooting for that Obama Snow. Someday he's gonna pull it
before he leaves office.
So I'm gonna agree with you and just give it to Alpha. Right. I think.
Next up, and I think this is the only 2-0 versus 0-2 match. Yes, it is. Okay, so next up is the Texas Tauros versus the NJ Flabebe. How are you thinking this match is gonna go?
Oh man, let me just find the teams really quick. Texas Tauros and New Jersey Flabebe. Well, let's take a look here. Well, I will say I was very impressed by the Flabebe's ability with Mega Gardevoir this week, and I think they might actually be able to pull off something similar here. Tauros does have like a Registeel perhaps for an answer, but aside from that, I think that the Flabebe's higher tier Pokemon are just better than the Texas Tauroses. Like Lopunny is obviously a great Mega, but I don't think of Hippowdon as that impressive of a Pokemon, and then Crawdon is obviously like UU, right? So that's his other OU pick. So I think that the Texas Tauros are going to be a little bit out-tiered, and that I think the Flabebe are going to take the win here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. Unfortunately, the Tauros have just kind of had some rough starting matches at the start.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is in no way to discredit him as a player. I think he played pretty well last match. And I think we'll see similar... I've seen two sides of Easy Bake this season so far. I've seen the side that just kind of starts losing and then just kind of lets it happen, gets swept by a Mega Medicham. And then I've seen or Garchomp or whatever Akeem did. And then I've seen the side of him where, he's down 6-3, but he's still able to find a core to revive himself with.
Yeah.
But I do think the Flabebe are going to be able to pull it through. I think I'm kind of actually looking at it in terms of, do the Flabebe have a team that's more like Akeem's, or do they have a team that's more like Blazens, and I think they're going to be able to play a little bit more like a Keen in this match. So I'd go Flabebe.
Yeah.
All right. Next match is... Oh, no. Never mind. 2-0-2 teams. Which is the Memphis Mamoswines versus the Washington Weaviles. Dare I say a league rivalry between the two. It is a league rivalry, yes. I know in Season 1, Season 3, the Mamoswines were able to take both division wins, but obviously it's a new season, we have new drafts. Weaviles now has a Dragonite, which they are apparently very used to using, which is going to be pretty good for them. I do think this will be a good match, though. Before I'm kind of stalling out time to think for a second, but...
Well, I think am I going first? I'll give you time to think.
All right.
I think I'm going first. I forget the order, but I'm going to go with your boy Dubstep on this one. I think him picking up a Dragonite for an actual OU slot is going to help him out a lot. We were just seeing Floor just get hammered repeatedly, not only last week, but the week before. Like, Floor just wasn't doing anything. So I think having a Dragonite...
still in.
I know, it's still there, but at least they have, like, an actual OU Pokemon. So Florges is obviously, like, a really good special ball. I had it last season, but I didn't have it as an OU pick. So I think the addition of Dragonite is going to be really nice for Dubstep. And I think Dubstep has been asking a little bit too much of his Beedrill recently, but I think that Beedrill can actually do pretty well against Sandman's team. So I just think that, and then also Dubstep has the Skarmory as a pretty good check, as far as I know, to Mega Diancie. So I would say that the Weaviles have the better higher tier mons and just the better team matchup overall. Like, looking down the list, I would say that Dubstep has the sort of superior team matchup.
All right. I'm going to go Mamoswines then.
Okay.
Okay, here's why. I think that we've seen creativity come out from Sandman, which is, from Anthony, which is one of the most important aspects of League format. We've seen, fully specially offensive Mega Diancie, as well as a Calm Mind Dusclops. And we've seen things that have worked out, we've seen things that haven't worked out, but I think against players along the same kind of tier as them, I think that, I think the Mamoswines, that's what their name is, I think the Mamoswines are able to come up with something creative to figure out how to beat this Dragonite. I think they're going to be able to pull off some cool things. And it's interesting to note, too, that the Mamoswines also free agented their Shedinja for Scyther, which I don't know how much work it'll put in for this match, but it's definitely interesting, and it's something that I think could be utilized in a certain way, looking at this. Oh,
that's cool. Well, I'm glad he got rid of Shedinja. I didn't realize he even had Shedinja. Shedinja seems kind of worthless to me, but I guess people like it. Well, I guess that's going to do it, because the next match is mine, and we're probably not going to...
Should we talk about it?
We'll talk about it. All right, we'll talk about it.
All right, we'll talk about it. So, the Sylveons, coached by EnteiTainment,
that's me.
That's him. We'll be taking on Cherrymander and the Zion Zards, 2-0-2 teams going at it against each other. So, what are some thoughts on your matchup?
Well, I think Mega Sharpedo is slept on a lot, which is kind of unfair, honestly, because Mega Sharpedo is a freaking animal and an absolute beast, and I'm terrified. So, and Victini as well. Victini's horrifying. And whenever I'm laddering in UU, all the time, Slurpuff manages to destroy me, and he has Slurpuff. So those are the top three things I'm most afraid of. So I don't want to go into what I would potentially bring for those things, but I think his team is very offensive, and I'm not sure if I can handle it.
Yeah, I think just like your match against Classy, this is going to be sort of a offensive, pivoting, also at the same time just the constant struggle to outspeed sort of war. Even like pre-game, they're like, how do I outspeed like the fastest Pokemon on this team? Well, I don't know, maybe he'll bring like a scarfed speed boost Sharpedo for all we know, just to outspeed. But obviously not that crazy, but like, you know, Unburdened, Slurpuff, Victini, Dugtrio, it's going to be a constant fight for who can get the most momentum early on. All right, so that's about to wrap it up. How's our time looking? I
don't even know.
All right.
It's about the same. We tried to do it faster, but apparently it's impossible.
We tried to do it shorter, but it's not possible. We'll try. We'll get it one day.
I guess they can put in the comments if they like this length, because I think mostly when the people come here, they just skip to where they are in the video, so I'm not sure if this even matters.
All right, that's fair enough. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. Leave a comment for any CSL content. I will be releasing power rankings this week, so stay tuned for that. That'll be exciting. Maybe you'll be number 1, maybe you'll be number 16, maybe you'll be right in the middle, who knows. But that's gonna wrap it up. Stay tuned for power rankings, stay tuned for future CSL content. So yeah, any final words?
Nah, just thanks for having me. I'm enjoying this a lot, so thank you for having me on here.
Okay, cool. I was worried that it was just like I couldn't find anyone. I have to find
great.
Dan again.
It's great to hear someone else's point of view. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's about it.
Along those lines, though, message me if you want to be on here. Stop asking.
Get him out of here.
All right, I'll see you. Bye.
Bye.